Everyone has a story.
Pretty crazy evening. Hustle and see the fire that has fallen.
We all take a different path and face different hurdles. I'm your host, Sarah Strackhouse, and in this show, I get to interview inspiring women who are dedicated to making change.
The world is tough, so be tough.
Welcome to the Strackhouse. Well, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Our next guest is truly a trailblazer in her industry. She's a former NRA TV host as well as a frequent Fox News contributor and the CEO and co-founder of Alexo Athletica. Amy Robbins, thank you so much for joining us.
You did it!
I know! I'm so excited I said the name right. Woohoo!
It's a tongue twister. You know, that alliteration in there is quite a tongue twister. So.
But it's such a cool name, and actually it's a perfect segue. Tell me about the name and about the company, how you got into being an entrepreneur.
I will. I'll jump right in there. So Alexo kind of came into existence because it was birthed out of a personal need that I had. So you had mentioned I was working with NRA TV, which we can talk about that a little bit later, but that's kind of what set me on this path of thinking about self-protection and self-defense in a way that I had never thought about it before. So I was training for a marathon back in 2015, and when I ran the same route all the time. I was in what I thought my very safe neighborhood, up in Prosper. I had this great country back road that I would get up and run really early in the morning or even late at night if I needed to because I felt really safe, right? Well, as Prosper was growing, there started to be a lot of construction back there. And again, I'd never felt unsafe before until a day came when I was followed. I had a van full of guys come over the hill. They slowed down. They all stared at me, and I thought, that's a little weird, but nothing happened. They went to the end of the road, and they turned back around. And it was the first time in my head I was like, oh man, okay, this is maybe there's nothing's gonna happen, Right. But it was the first time I started thinking,
you get that gut feeling.
Yes, I'm like, what am I gonna do if they stop? It's me versus there was 5 or 6 guys in the van.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I've got my cell phone with me, but what good is that gonna do when am I gonna call the cops, or am I even gonna tell them that I'm not right now?
Right.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. So thank God, I tell people my story ended there. Nothing happened. It was simply just the cat calls, the slowing down, the following. But it was the first time I'd ever felt helpless and defenseless, and I hated that feeling.
Right.
So I went home, I started doing some research, and I realized that I wasn't alone in that experience. And it was the numbers of how many women had been harassed or had been followed, and then versus the number of things that actually happened to women on their runs. I was like, why is no one solving this problem for female runners, giving them the option, to put self-defense tools or have functional places in their leggings to carry things, right? Because at this point, there weren't even pockets in leggings.
Right.
And so like any good Texas girl, I went and got my license to carry because, again, I had been around that a lot, working with people with NRA TV. And so I went, got my license to carry, actually even became a firearm instructor.
Wow, very cool.
And so when I got my license to carry, I remember thinking, okay, now I want to go run with this. And I was like, but where the heck am I supposed to put this?
Right.
I'm like, do I just take my Lululemons to my tailor and build in a pocket or something? I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so as I started researching, I realized 41 million women carry some form of self-defense tool on their body at all times, whether it's mace, taser, and then firearm ownership. Women getting their concealed handgun license is up about 500% since 2007. And I'm like, okay, this is a big market. There's a big market to actually start formulating a company that their sole mission is to keep them safe, but do it in a stylish way. My experience with what I saw in the self-defense space or in the gun world was very tactical. It was very military inspired. It was very there's a lot of law enforcement, military people, and that really wasn't my background.
Right.
I was in the entertainment world. I was modeling. I'm like, fashion was very important to me, so I didn't want to sacrifice that for my self-defense. So I said, I'm just going to fuse the two worlds together and see if this thing is going to work.
Right.
So I kind of laid out this business plan to my husband. I had all my research, all my information gathered, and on a road trip with my husband, I was like, hey, I think we have something here. And I think we need to go for it. I've always wanted to own my own company, always wanted to own a business that was very purpose driven. And for me, helping women stay safe and, give them the opportunity to live confidently was like, okay, this is like a no-brainer.
Right.
And so then we're sitting there, we're driving, and along the road I was like, all right, well, what are we going to name it? What are we going to call this thing?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, okay, well, I want it to be strong. I want it to symbolize a strong name, be feminine and masculine, because I'm like, I want this to maybe grow into men's clothes too. Who knows?
Right.
And I love the Greek language. And so I was like, all right, I'm Googling what does like warrior or strength or something in the Greek language mean? And Alexandra is the goddess of war. And as I looked at that word, I was breaking it down, and Alexo is the portion of the word that means to defend and to help.
I love that.
And I was like, that's it. Like, that's our name. And of course, because we are so Second Amendment, that's our mission, is to promote the Second Amendment. And so I was like, well, we need another A. And I just always loved the word Athletica, so I'm like, secretly, like, AA, 2A.
Oh,
so,
how cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so it's like it's our subliminal 2A that we got put in there. But that's where the name Alexo comes from, and that's how we got to the point where we are right now. We launched our company in 2017, and we're just under 2 years of being in business. So
it's a small business right now. Tell me a little bit about some of the struggles that come along with it, and especially being in an industry where it's not very common, at least the perception, that women get involved in this industry, kind of like you were talking about.
Well, it's crazy because when I did get into it, was in about 2013, it was definitely dominated by men, the firearm industry for sure, which is probably why when I got asked to host this show, I was a little intimidated because I'm like, I don't know anything about guns.
Right.
Are you sure you want, like, yeah, I support the Second Amendment, but are you sure you want me? I don't know what I'm talking about. My husband has to show me how to load a gun,
Yeah.
And so it was a long way
from there.
I have. Yeah. I definitely have. I found a new passion for sure.
Right.
But, it was a little intimidating because there weren't a lot of females in that space. And there definitely weren't any females that were out there showing everyday women that you don't have to sacrifice your style to live a prepared lifestyle.
Right.
And I felt like that really was my calling, because it was lacking so much when I was getting into it. I wanted to be that person that kind of helped usher in this new wave because I was seeing it. I had women come up to me all the time after being on this show that would say, okay, can you teach me how to shoot? Can you, what gun do I need to get? And I was like, okay, women want to know about this, and there's a disconnect somewhere between the firearm industry and the everyday average soccer mom.
Absolutely. So, and talking about, the average maybe suburban mom or someone like that, you just recently launched a new line, the Carryware Light. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure,
how's it going?
Absolutely.
Another project?
Yes. Well, so we did a collaboration, but from day one, we always knew that we wanted to somehow hit that 41 million women that carried self-defense tool. We know out of that about 3 to 5 make up the concealed carry holders, right? So there's this whole other world that don't carry firearms, probably are never going to carry a firearm on their body. Maybe it's intimidating to them. And so we knew as we started this, we needed to grow and be able to start making products that would hit a much bigger group of women. And
right.
So we started, of course, so that we could have a niche in the market because there's a new athletic brand popping up every day.
Yes.
If you follow Instagram
yes.
and you follow workout clothes. So, of course, our very first line, we call it our signature Carryware line. It's packed with pockets. It's got several different holsters in it if you're right-handed or left-handed. And we will always have those products. That's our bread and butter. That is really like the core of who we are.
Yeah.
But following in the same path of our mission to let women decide how they want to protect themselves, we knew that we wanted to start another division. So Carryware Light is what we just launched. We took the holsters out, but we still have functional pockets.
Right.
So I actually have some of our pants on right now, and great options to put in that mace, a pepper blaster, small taser, small stun gun. Or maybe you just want to put your lip gloss and your phone. Maybe you
wear it out. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe you just love the mission behind Alexo, but you aren't ready to carry a tool on your body yet. That's okay. Like we want to just let you know that the option is there and get you thinking about your safety.
Oh, I love that. And I've loved being able to follow your launch and watch the videos that come out of it. It just seems like so much fun. But I know that with a lot of the fun and the highs, starting a business from scratch, about something that many people do find kind of a controversial subject. Tell me about some of the struggles or some of the hurdles you've come over.
Sure.
And what it's been like kind of working through those.
Absolutely. We did face a lot of challenges when we first started out. Just from a business standpoint, my husband and I, we started this ourselves, and we decided to jump into an industry that we actually had no experience, no connections in the manufacturing world.
Right.
We're like the epitome of a bootstrap company. We take that American dream of making the sacrifices and working hard to see your dream come to reality. And so, we made the sacrifices that a lot of business owners make. Funding is always going to be a challenge for a startup company. So you either are independently wealthy, which we were not, or you make a lot of sacrifices to save your money and be able to do what you can do with what you have. And that was us. We were able to sell our house, take a chunk of that, put it towards our first initial inventory. Wow. And we're like, okay, what can we risk, Tiny? It was just we stayed up a lot at nighttime. Okay, what are we willing to risk? We know we know where we want to take this. We know how big this can be. So we want to take the risk. What are we willing to risk? What can we do? So we put in as much as we could, bought our first round of inventory. That sold out in like 2 months, which we were like,
that's awesome.
Maybe we can buy it next season. Right. Maybe we can keep going with this. And so funding is always going to be a struggle for a startup. But I just encourage anyone that has a dream to go for it. Don't let something like your funding, don't let something like those challenges keep you from going for it, because there's always a way to make it work. Yeah. Manufacturing is something that a lot of people just don't understand. If you're not in this industry, you can't just go knock on a door and get a manufacturer. Yeah. We tried that because I thought that's how easy it was. I knocked on a bunch of doors. I made a lot of phone calls. Most people hung up on me. They're like, who are you? What's your idea? You want to put gun holsters in pants? Hang up. And these were American manufacturers. So I thought surely someone will take a chance on us. Well, if they do want to take a chance on you, well, their minimums are so high, we couldn't afford that. Right. So we actually were approached by an American-based company who happened to have facilities overseas, come to us and say, we want to work with you guys. We believe in you. We believe in your mission. We believe in your message, and we want to grow with you. And so as much as we wanted to be made in the United States, and we really wanted to do that, we wanted to employ Americans, we wanted to give them the opportunity, it just didn't work out for us that way at the beginning. Right. And so manufacturing is hard for everyone that wants to get into the apparel industry.
Yeah. That must have been so exciting, someone approaching you guys and truly believing in your mission to grow.
It was. I mean, everything that has happened along the line, I always say it's a God thing, because for us, we shouldn't be where we are right now, because we heard no a million times. We didn't really know what we were doing. We've since learned a whole lot.
Sure, yes.
But at the beginning, it was just a lot of trial and error. And we did have a plan. We did have a strategy, which I would encourage anyone who wants to start a company, have a plan. Have an end goal, have a 3 to 5 year plan and a goal, so that you know what you're working towards, and that you can always go back to that plan when the times get tough. Right. When you start doubting and you start having questions and you're questioning yourself and your mission, go back to that plan and work the plan, and that will help you succeed. And then you look at the space that we're in. Yes. The firearm space, it's such a hot button topic. Yes. And I always say, when it comes to women and firearms, or women defending themselves, I don't understand why it gets politicized the way that it does. Yep. Because we live in a country where we have a Second Amendment that says our right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And so for women, especially in today's society where you're looking at this Me Too culture, you're seeing assaults on college campuses. They're up to 1 in 5 women are being assaulted on college campuses. If you take it down to a personal level, me as a runner, 43% of women have been reported that they've been harassed and followed on their runs. Yep. Then you hear stories about Molly Tippett, Karina Vetrano, Wendy Martinez, who all went out for a jog and never made it home. Right. So you're seeing this happen, and I'm like, women need the ability to choose how they want to defend themselves and keep some tool. For me, it's not about just making every woman carry a gun. Right. I don't care if you carry a gun. I would love for you to, if you're trained, if that's what you're comfortable with, but if you're not, just keep something on your body. Get into that mindset where you're situationally aware, and then you have a tool that you're comfortable with, that you're trained with, and you're ready to use it if you need to defend and protect your life.
But giving women the option too is one of the biggest things. Yeah,
so absolutely. That I say it was a challenge when we first launched. We got a lot of backlash, which it was funny because even though there was negative press, we also had a lot of positive support pushing back on it. So it was almost like the more negative press they gave us, more people who thought, well, these people don't want me to exercise my Second Amendment. I'm going to go buy 5 pairs of pants.
Right.
You know? Like,
I know. I mean, just seeing kind of, I've been following along, obviously, on your Instagram and in social media, and just kind of seeing some of the posts. I mean, some people don't even do their facts and read what is actually involved in each of the products.
Well, you know, this new line, this carry-wear light line, you definitely see it with that for sure, because people are wanting to say, to knock the line, I'm like, there's not even a gun holster in our carry-wear light line, but people don't take the time to go research it, and you can't spend your life combating all of that. No. You just have to keep moving forward. I tell people all the time, like, know your mission, know where you're headed, and move towards that. Put your blinders on, because there's always going to be people who support you, and there's going to be people that don't support you, and you can't worry about it.
Yeah, there's going to be
just
some of both.
Your course. Yeah.
All you got to do is listen to the good ones.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of media and press, I mean, there's been a lot of hype in the media about recent mass shootings, and of course, breaking down, most people define mass shootings as when there's 4 or more involved, people shot, and that could be gang violence, it could be personal, or it could be someone walking into a public space and shooting, spraying bullets. So talking about this, there's been conversation about, gun control, about stricter background checks, about banning assault rifles, a lot of these subjects. And so I wanted to get kind of your thoughts and your opinion on the breakdown of this conversation.
Well, first and foremost, when it comes to these mass shootings, of course, it's always going to get sensationalized with the AR-15. The AR-15 is always the easiest firearm to say that it's very scary, to say that this is But the AR-15 is not actually, if you're looking at the 40,000 gun-related violent deaths that happen in this country, the AR-15 is not the most common firearm used. The handgun is actually the most commonly used. Right. And people don't even know that in that 40,000 statistic that they give, majority of those are suicides. So when we're talking about firearm-related deaths, you really need to look, and everyone wants to say this is the problem in our country. No, we actually have 100 million gun owners and like 300 million firearms in the United States, 100 million legal gun owners. Yeah. So the number compared to how many legal gun owners there are, I just don't think that we need to make laws that affect law-abiding citizens. We all know that these people who are doing this, the criminals, it's already against the law to shoot somebody. Right. So they don't care that law is on the books. So what happens is the more laws we put in place only end up hurting people who are going to follow the law, which are law-abiding citizens. Sure. So when I look at that in terms of what I do and trying to encourage women, women, yes, are usually the victims of domestic violence. We see that all the time. And I'm like, if a woman has a stalker, if a woman is in a domestic violence situation, and we make it harder for her to get a firearm, if that's how she feels comfortable to defend and protect herself, we're doing nothing ultimately to stop this gun violence. We're only hurting the law-abiding citizens who actually need them to protect themselves. Right. And so, look, our Second Amendment says it shall not be infringed. I think there's things that we can do. We can have a whole discussion on the background checks and the mental health stuff and all that at another time. But, I really think as we see this happen more and more, my first thought is always, why wasn't there a citizen there that was armed that could have stopped this before the cops get there? Thank God for law enforcement, but they can't be everywhere at one time.
If only.
and exactly. And you see what stops a mass shooter is somebody shooting back at them. Mm-hmm. So usually it's the cops who show up 6 to 7 minutes late. Well, that a lot of damage can be done within that time. Sure. So if they're always stopped by somebody shooting back at them, why don't we have more people that are trained? Why don't we have more people who want to carry? Right. That want to, and I've been surprised with this stuff that's been happening in Texas. I'm like, Texas, we got a lot of people with concealed carry permits here. I would hope that more people would say, look, this is happening. There is no way to stop all the evil in the world. Unfortunately. Right. Even if today we put stricter background checks on the books, there are still going to be guns that get in the hands of criminals, that get in the hands of crazy people, evil people. They're going to do what they want to do. You look at London, they banned guns. Then there were knife attacks. So then they ban knives and they take trucks and they run it into crowds of people.
Yep. Evil people. And I was going to say Bastille Day. In France.
They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to find a way. And, I just think it goes to show even more, like, why women need to be ready to protect themselves.
Like I talked about before, you're in an industry where the perception is that women don't hop into it, and it's kind of, there's so much conversation around it.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for women on that front, but also being a small business owner, starting something from the ground up, having passion in it, advice to women?
Well, it's twofold. So for people that want to get into the firearms, thank God we live in the age of social media now where none of this was available. There were no resources available when I wanted to get into it. Now I see, new fashion blogs popping up all the time, giving women tips and tricks on how to conceal carry in a stylish way. There's more training courses and more instructors that are women, because let's face it, it's so much easier to learn from a woman as a woman than I was so intimidated when I got into this because I'm like, the guys, like, they would yell at me or like, I didn't know what I was doing.
They're
so I
gonna
didn't
judge
feel comfortable.
me.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know how to rack a slide. I didn't know how to load a magazine. And I'm like, that is so intimidating. And so now that there are more women that are doing this, usually at gun ranges, they've got women on staff who are ready to teach a concealed carry course, who are there to actually give you hands-on training.
Yeah.
And so, I just tell people, like, go for it. If that thing that you want to do is on your heart and you can't get that off of your mind, you can't get it out of your head, then you need to go for it. And you need to make a plan. You got to just believe that you can do it, and then put the plan into action.
And the work into it.
And I think that's another thing too, we live in this generation where, I don't know, I see so many young people, I think things are just going to happen easily. It doesn't. It's never happened that way for me. It has never been, nothing in my life has come easy. It's all come from very hard work, lots of tears, lots of sleepless nights, and you can't give up.
Well, Amy, if people want to follow along with your journey, they want to find out more information, social handles, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
We are all e-commerce right now, so everything can be found at our website, Alexo Athletica, not to be confused with Alexa, the talking box.
Yes.
I think we pop up right after her on Google.
Oh, that's
I know,
excellent.
right?
What a
I know.
nice problem.
Not a bad thing. So, but AlexoAthletica.com is our website, and then that's all of our handles as well. So we're predominantly on Instagram and Facebook.
Well, I love that. So many words of wisdom in there and so many messages. Is there anything else you want to leave people with?
I just want to encourage women that are watching this show that you are empowered. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do something. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not this enough, that you're not that enough, because you are, and you do have the power inside of you to accomplish your goals and to do whatever it is that you want to do. Don't let yourself sit into a box, and especially when it comes to, if you want any more information on how to empower yourselves by learning about firearms or just needing some resources on other self-defense tools, please give us a follow. We're really good about getting back with people. I love answering questions. I have a podcast too called Not Your Average Gun Girls.
Yes.
So we give a lot of great information, tips, tricks on just how to live a prepared life.
And where can people find that?
It's on iTunes. It's on, we have a show with Obsolens Media if you want to actually watch it, but we have a YouTube channel as well, so you can go actually watch it. But if you want to just subscribe and listen to it when you're in your car or something, you can go to iTunes and just type in Not Your Average Gun Girls.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
All right. So many ways for people to contact you, learn more. I love that.
Yep.
Well, Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, like I said before, so many good messages in there. We hope you leave feeling inspired, just as I am right now. We'll see you next time. If you'd like to nominate an inspiring woman, email me at sarahstrackhouse@gmail.com. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.